Well, it's finally here. Sim Update 2 is finally here. So we're gonna go ahead and do our first flight in Sim Update 2, check it out, see if the performance is any better than what we used to. And we are here at JFK International Airport in the sim. Ooh, it's already bad. Alright, that might have just been a little glitch. Alright, so here we are in the Cessna 172 at JFK. As you can see, the frames up here in the top right corner that we are getting. Not too terrible, looking good. I am running an RTX 5070 Ti, 16 gigs of VRAM. Alright, so take a look here at the performance. Alright, now we're in the cockpit. Let's go ahead and take off and see what it looks like. Let's go full throttle. Head tracking back on. We're averaging about 115 frames here in the sim. So far so good. 5 knots, we're going to go ahead and rotate. Just like that, we are airborne. Using the Tobii eye tracker for head tracking. Looking pretty good so far. Not bad at all. Just took off from JFK. As like I said, no, this is default JFK. No traffic is on right now. And in a second, I will show you what my graphic settings currently is set at. So far, so good. Looking good. There's the JetBlue hangar. It does feel a lot smoother here. I will say that on first impression. Let's go over to LaGuardia and see if we can make it land in LaGuardia. Uh-oh. That was not good. So I am recording in OBS right now. I'm not sure if that plays any parts of the performance lag we just had. Not really sure. It has minor glitches here and there, but otherwise, for the most part, it's pretty smooth. Visuals look okay. What I'm used to here in the sim. Let's trim her out here. And I am just testing the performance, the FPS really. Not really going to check any of the other bugs or any of the other career mode issues for now in this video. Just want to check out the performance, what the frames look like. I am using DLSS with FrameGen, and in a second, like I said, I will show you the settings I currently have it set to. And I do believe there are some new features or new settings we can tweak as well in the menu to play around with. See if that increases performance.
Cessna India Romeo 1, leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Let's go. Launch frequency change.
Kennedy Tower, Cessna Kilo Alpha India Romeo 1, frequency change.
Alright, there's LaGuardia off to our left over there. Let's go ahead and try to make the landing. There, a little glitch. Overall, it's performing rather smoothly. So this is New York, flying over Queens from JFK to LaGuardia. There goes LaGuardia at our 11 o'clock over there. Just the speed. I do believe those issues we just seen here was due to OBS encoding this video. I don't think that's a Microsoft issue per se. I did see an error pop up in OBS just a second ago, so don't think that's because of the sim. It's just because the GPU is also being used by OBS for the recording. So I'll let that go. Overall, oh, yep, OBS again is saying there's an encoding overload. So that is why we're seeing those issues we're seeing here. My GPU is not liking encoding this video plus flying in the simulator, so I won't really chalk that up to sim right now. Yep, OBS is having issues here. LaGuardia here. Simulator is behaving a little wonky. At LaGuardia. So yeah, as you can see on that approach into the LaGuardia airspace, it was a little wonky behavior of the FPS. I do believe that's due to OBS, but it seems like I do have this freeware add-on LaGuardia. It could be using up some more resources, so not sure what that's all about. Now that we're here on the ground, it seems like it's gotten back up to the average of about 120, 115 frames per second. That the simulator is indicating. So let's go ahead and stop here. I'll go ahead and show you guys what my current settings are, and we can take a look at that. Alright, so here are my graphic settings in Flight Sim 2024 that I'm currently running. This is what I was running in SU1. I haven't touched a thing in SU2. And if I scroll down here to my rendering settings, you can see a lot of stuff is on ultra. TOD is at 195. Rocks are on high. OLD is on 150. And that's what my settings currently are. I did notice there's a few things here we could tweak in Flight Sim. I believe this frame rate multiplier was not always there, I don't believe. And I do believe now we have the ability to use AMD FSR3. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and restart my last flight. And then while we're sitting at JFK, I'm just going to monitor what the frames how they will respond if we change these settings. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here we are back on the ground at JFK. No traffic is turned on. This is default JFK. And we're just gonna see the performance here of the new settings that you could tweak in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I just did a quick flight before this, and I flew from JFK here to LaGuardia. The performance was pretty good. However, at some points, OBS was throwing some errors, which also... So OBS was throwing some errors which said encoding was overloaded. I believe that also caused, at the same time, issues in the simulator with the frames. So I went ahead and lowered the settings of OBS and restarted the recording. So hopefully it should be fine. But it's important to note that before this sim update, I never had that issue with OBS throwing those errors when recorded Flight Sim. So that's interesting and something to note. So right now, the simulator is reporting about 120, 115 frames. Let's go ahead and tweak some of the settings to see how that changes things. So let's go here, settings. All right, so the main thing here is frame gen, DLSS. I believe we can now change this to AMD FSR and so forth, but let's go ahead and tweak the multiplier. So right now it was on 2 times. I'm gonna change it up to 3, and let's see what that does. Alright, so actually reported. Oh, the simulator now is completely frozen. Alright, so here we are back in the simulator, Sim Update 2. I'm here at JFK. No traffic is turned on, just default. I keep trying to select runway 4 left and it keeps putting me on a different runway. Don't know what that bug is all about, but here we are. Previously, in Sim Update 2, I just did a flight from JFK to LaGuardia. Performance was pretty smooth. I decided to come back and restart and just stay here on the runway and do some FPS testing with the settings in Sim Update. So earlier I tried to change my frame rate multiplier from 2 to 3 or even 4. No matter how much I try to make the setting change, it just won't stick and it keeps going back to 2. And the second I touch this, it breaks everything in the simulator and I just can't use the sim. So I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know if it's just me having this issue. If you're having the issue as well, let me know in the comments. But I'm not going to touch this from now on. But like you could see in the sim right now, we're averaging about 120 frames, 115 frames on the ground. So that looks good. Pretty smooth. Looks good. So let's go ahead and make some tweaks here. Alright, so I'm going to try to switch from balanced DLSS and try to go to performance and see what that does. So change it to performance. The average seems like it remains around the same here on the ground. Of course, I'm not in the air. I'm just on the ground at JFK. But the performance seems to be just about the same. So let's go ahead and change it again. So, switch to ultra performance mode. DLSS, and let's see what that does. Again, the FPS stays around the 120 mark. Of course, I'm on the ground. I'm not in the air and not generating any objects right now. It's just going to remain the same. I am curious. Now we're peeking into the 130s. Not bad. All right, so let's go ahead and change that again to... Nope, that's not what I wanted to change. I wanted to change this to DLAA. So if DLLA usually get a better picture, but the performance usually takes a little bit of a hit, but it's still averaging about 120 frames. Pretty good. Put an artifact in, but not terrible. Alright, looks good. Doesn't really change much. Now let's go ahead and change that again to auto and see what auto gives us. And with auto, it also remains about the same. Alright. Not terrible at all. Again, I am running the Nvidia RTX 5070 Ti with 16 gigs of VRAM. That looks good. Alright, now let's switch to the AMD frame gen. See what that does. Alright. See where the FPS settle there. So it stays in about the 40s. And moving around the planes, it's a little less smooth, but it's not terrible. The image quality looks really good, and of course you'll have nice crisp numbers on the G1000. Actually looks really good. That actually looks really good. Oh, and now we're getting averages into the 120s inside the cockpit. Let's go back outside, and now interestingly it's increased. It was averaging about 50 a second ago, but now it's climbed up here. Wow. It actually looks really good. Visual quality looks really, really good. Quite impressed. Quite impressed. Alright, let's go ahead and change that to no frame gen, see what we get. Alright, so here we are with no frame gen on. Average about 60 frames. Shouldn't have as much artifacting as we used to with frame gen. Let's go into the cockpit, see what in here looks like. Read all the stuff on the G1000. Looks really good. Looks really good. The frame seems smooth. Alright, let's go ahead and change a few more things here and then change the anti-aliasing to FSR. Let's go TAA for the anti-aliasing and frame gen of DLSS. See what that looks like. A little bit of artifacting when we move around the cockpit. You can see that. It's noticeable on the recording. It's not great for some reason. Let's go outside. It's not terrible outside, but you can definitely see some jitters there while I move around the camera. Yeah, I won't say that's pretty good. Alright, let's go back and change this to DLSS. Let's try the AMD FSR here with frame gen on. Jitters, but still looks okay. Let's go inside the cockpit. Yeah, you can see some artifact in here when I move around the cockpit, so not really a fan of that. Let's go back into, let's switch it back to DLSS, and let's get super resolution turned back to what I had it before, which was, I believe I had it on balance before. And let's see what we got. That has been so far my smoothest experience with my 5070 Ti. This one, yep. Oh, you can see a little bit of artifact in here when I move around the cockpit. But yeah, it's not the greatest. I'm not sure if that's getting recorded on the recording, but indicated frames are good, but when you move around, it's not the greatest. Alright, let me go ahead and turn head tracking on. See what that looks like. Yeah, you can see the artifact of head tracking. It's not great. Not great at all. And I don't know if that's because OBS is using up resources, but everything here looks good in the green. I am limited by the main thread, but I have a AMD 5800 X3D processor, so do need to upgrade that soon, but seems like the performance here is dwindling. Stuff in here is a little shaky now.
A few moments later.
Runway 4 left.
So it's saying I'm on runway 4 left, but this is actually not 4 left. Interestingly. Alright, I just restarted the flight with my settings that I usually leave on, and it seems to not have the artifact in as much as it did a second ago. So it seems like whenever you make these changes and tweaks in the flight sim, you might want to restart the flight every time because it just starts having issues. Let me go head tracking off and let me go outside the plane. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's like what I'm used to with the 5070 Ti. Yeah, everything looks really good now. That's a lot better. Alright, let's go ahead and take off here and do some low flies over JFK and C. Low passes over JFK and C. What we can find here. Park and break off. Over here. jetways are connected. That's a huge step in the right direction. And I mean, it feels really smooth for the most part. Again, there's no traffic turned on, but it feels really smooth. It seems like whenever I make setting changes in the menu and stay within the same flight, it doesn't like that at all. But once you restart the flight and all the settings are not changed, it seems to be rather decent. It's not bad at all. A little flicker there, but not too bad. Seems pretty smooth, I will say that. But it wasn't awfully terrible for me in the last sim update, so it's hard to say. Always got decent performance at least out of it, but definitely not worse than what it was before. That's the main thing. Definitely not worse. Alright, while we're here in the air, I'm going to try to turn head tracking off. Let me try to change one setting really quickly. I want to go TAAA on this. Let's see what that does while we're in the air. So that's also still rather smooth. And usually TAA usually improves the quality of the picture. Like G1000, you can read everything on that quite easily. So it's pretty good. TAA also seems fine here. Which usually, like I said, gives you a better picture quality, less blurry numbers and stuff on your MFD and PFDs. So good. The average frames is a little lower, but definitely performing well. So, alright, we're going to go ahead and leave it here for today. I will do some more testing of Sim Update 2. I just wanted to do a quick first flight since the update just went out. So, I will see you guys in the next time. Feel free to leave me any comments and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.